What's up, Steno babes? It's your boy, Jack.
And your girl, Des.
We are two court reporters
With one podcast,
ready to tell you all of our stories.
we're taking you through the court reporting profession through our eyes.
So get ready because we're about to go on the record.
Do you solemnly state that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth?
I do.
Then let's go.
This is the Steno Pod. What's up, Steno babes? We are back on the record. Oh my goodness. I am joined with my co-host, Des. How's it going, Des?
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. It is going great. I am so glad to be back. I feel like it's been so long.
I know we're finally settled in after being back from New Orleans. We're sorry we didn't get an episode out to you guys last week. It was just crazy coming back into the swing of things, I think. And I think we both dove back into work and got into some crazy freaking jobs. And now we're finally settled and ready to get back on the air to our people.
Yeah. It took me forever to recover from Steno in the City. I feel like that was not just any convention. It was so much fun. It was a night all of us, 3 nights all of us needed because we have been working our asses off. And students I know have been practicing their little tails off. So I know everybody just needed to let loose. But man, the recovery's been tough. Has it been tough for you?
Yeah, well, I was genuinely sad leaving. I really, really liked the city. I'd never been there before to New Orleans, and I just loved the mystical, weird vibe of it. It did not feel like we were in America. It felt like a different country, and there was so much to see, so much to do. I just feel like we had so much fun. What was your favorite part about New Orleans?
I agree with what you just said, though, about it felt like a different city. And it kind of felt like we were away from the world and all the drama. And I feel like, I don't know if you feel this way. Living in California is so dramatic. There's always drama. There's always something going on in LA. So it was just nice to decompress and get away from that fast life. And I feel like in Louisiana, it's such a slow pace, but still fun. And I think that's what I loved most was just the atmosphere, walking around and you can drink and the drinks. Well, my favorite part was how freaking cheap the drinks were compared to here.
I know, and they were so cheap. But we also agreed they weren't as good as here.
Yes, you know what? I'll give you that. I'll give for sure because they were not. The quality is a little different, but just to get the job done. Boom,
oh, 1000%. Yeah, for a $11, $12 drink, that's crazy. If I were to take you back to Wisconsin, where I'm from, you're looking at between $7 and $9 for a drink.
Shut up.
No, it's dirt cheap.
Is it as good, or are they just kind of like that? Get the job done.
It's kind of get the job done, but they do have some that are good that are specialty cocktails, and for that you'd be looking at $12 maybe. But yeah, I feel like we're just so used to in LA specialty cocktails being $19, $20, $21, but we pay it. We're whatever.
Yeah, and I feel like also too Californians are bougie, so it was so nice to not have to dress up to go somewhere. You could wear sandals, shoes. There are times we go to restaurants out here and you're underdressed and you feel so left out. People stare at you, so it was so nice to just not have that pressure, I guess. And I don't know, I loved it. And then I felt like bonds were the bonds I created online were just strengthened. So it was so nice. I don't know. It was so nice meeting everybody and, just
it really
bonding.
was.
Yeah. It was one thing I really commend Shanice on is she's really, really good about making that a homey feel for everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it felt like. What did you think?
Yeah, same. It's a very bougie experience. Everything's over the top and grand and amazing, but never feels intimidating, you'd think sometimes those things make you feel scared or do I belong or where do I fit in? But Shanice does such a great job bringing everyone together. I just love too at any time of the day you can be let me just go down to the lobby bar and see who's down there, and there's gonna be court reporters sitting somewhere at the bar. You can just pull up next to them, have a drink, chat. So it was a really, really cool vibe. Yeah, but speaking of conferences,
yeah, we have one coming right up.
What are we doing?
DRA in
We're doing
Ventura, California. Are you excited? Deposition Reporters Association. I know a lot of people don't know what DRA means, but Jack and I will be presenting at DRA. That'll be our first, I think, seminar together. I mean, we did the one with the boot camp at CCRA, but this will be our first convention seminar together.
I'm excited. It's going to be fun. I'm nervous, but I think once we kind of get into the swing of it and get started, I feel like it'll be fine. It's kind of like doing the podcast, it's a little I'm a little scared, but then once we just start going and flowing, It all just comes out.
That's true. That happened at CCRA. Remember how nervous we were and it ended up just being perfectly fine. And the
Hmm.
time goes by so fast because we're just yapping the whole time.
Literally. I love that. I'm really excited. We're gonna have fun. So yeah, if you're attending the DRA, be sure to attend our seminar. It's Friday morning, right?
Yeah, Friday. I think it's at Friday at 1.
Friday afternoon.
It's still morning,
Cool.
kind of, for Californians.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Kind of.
Didn't know. I'm actually really excited though because our where we're staying for the conference, like the hotel right next to it is where they filmed one of my favorite movies ever growing up. It's
Which
called
one?
it's called Little Miss Sunshine.
I've never seen that.
It's with like Steve Carell and oh my god, what's her name? Tony Frick. I can't remember her name. There's a lot of good people in it, but it's just kind of like a silly slapsticky movie. But
Mm.
they filmed it right in this hotel next to the hotel we're staying at. And don't ask me how I know that. I'm just obsessed with like filming locations and where things are filmed. But so I'm gonna have to walk over there and see it.
Do you think that that obsession film, like with filming and all that, that stems from your background in theater? Which I was actually shocked to hear that Steno is not your first love. Theater is. So,
Yes.
do you think that it stems from that?
I think so. Yeah, I'm like fascinated about like where something happened, even just like historical places where something happened, something occurred, and like feeling the energy still like that sits there from the moment. There's even a house, there's a lot of stuff that's filmed here in Long Beach, but there's a house where one of my favorite shows was filmed, like the outside shots of this house. The show is called The Fosters. It was on ABC, I think, long time ago. But the house is right outside, like I can walk to it. And I just like stop and look. I'm like, this is so crazy. I like grew up watching this house on TV and now I like live right next to it. So weird.
You know what? Also, I watched a video on this on TikTok, nostalgia love, like it's something like that. And I feel like the reason also we love nostalgia things where we're like, oh my God, this happened here, whatever. It reminds us of our childhood and such a happy time. I think
Mm,
that's what it's stemming from you.
absolutely. Yeah,
Hmm.
totally. I love that too. But yeah, I did say that in my speech at the conference. Like, court reporting is not my first love.
Oh my
Theater is and performing
gosh.
is. But that's why I thanked everyone because truly it feels like I've been giving the platform to do both, to really
Mhm.
like combine my worlds together and be a court reporter, but also entertain at the same time. So that was really nice.
Speaking of, I don't think all of everyone knows. I'm sure everyone knows. Jack won a People's Choice Award 2025 at Steno in the City.
What?
So excited. How did you feel winning? Did you feel like you were going to win? Were you like, oh my God, I don't know? Give us your thoughts, please. Update us. Because, at that moment, I think you're in such shock. You're like, oh my God. And then you kind of come home, settle down, and you think about it. So give us your thoughts on that.
Mind you guys, Des won this award last year, so she knows what it feels like. But how cool is it that we both won like back to back? Like that's so fun. Um, no,
Steno
I
Pod brought
honestly,
it home.
right. No, I honestly had no idea I would win. I was like, this is so cool. There were so many people nominated, and I loved everyone that was nominated. Like, everyone has really good content. It's very interesting, and everyone has very different forms of content, like what they do and stuff. So I was like, this could be anybody's game. Like, we all are like killing it, doing our thing. So it was such an honor. And yeah, thank you to everyone who voted, if you even know what we're talking about. Yeah, it was cool. It was really fun. It was like the cherry on top of like a perfect trip, honestly.
Yeah, and it's something like it's such a huge accomplishment too, because I don't think people understand how hard it is to film content. I mean, I know people are like, all you have to do is put a video together and that's it. But it's not that. It's more than that.
Hmm.
It's hard putting content together, thinking of ideas, how to attract people in onto your content. So I'm really, really proud of you, honestly. And I know I told you
Thank
that last
you.
time, but it's an amazing, amazing accomplishment and you totally deserved it.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Love you.
Love you more.
Well, we wanted to get into some fun discussion
Mhm.
today, and we basically wanted to talk to you guys all about the pros and cons between depots and court. A lot of people, especially talking to people at Steno in the city and just talking to students, some people have no idea even what depositions are, or they have no idea which way they want to go. They haven't decided. They want to know, the pros and cons between both. So we're here to open the discussion and talk about it because we both have a little experience doing kind of both sides of it. And hopefully, after listening to this episode, you could get a better understanding on where you stand on court versus depo and what you think you might want to try more. So let's get into it. I think we should start with
With really quickly, a
oh,
disclaimer,
oh
Jack and
just
I are freelance court reporters. I know officials may think a little, no, what you said is not true. And we welcome any criticism or anything that, any correction to anything we say that's not correct. Or, you know what, you forgot to add this. We're more than what we can address it at the next episode. Like, hey, you know what, this was something that was we missed and somebody brought it to our attention. So we're just going to, like I said, we're freelance reporters, but Jack does work in court, so maybe he can shed some insight on that too. So let's get into it.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're speaking from our experience, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there's things that can probably be added or taken away or that people don't agree with. At the end of the day, we are stating our opinions. So take that with what you may.
Right.
I want to start with court. Can we
Okay.
start with court?
Let's start with court. Yeah.
Okay,
I think it's
so
a good
I feel
place.
like a couple like pros for me. One is honestly, this is probably on like the top of my list for pros in court. You get breaks.
It's scheduled
You
breaks
actually
at
get
that.
scheduled breaks,
That
which
is
is only
true.
a humane thing that everyone deserves. Depots. I'm about
I
to trash your depot
know.
land. I'm so sorry. I'm just kidding.
It's no, it's true because you get a scheduled break. So it's something to look forward to. We don't have that in depots. We don't have like, oh, 10:15 break, 15 minutes, 12 o'clock, lunch, an hour and a half at that. Like, come on, I could eat food for 15, nap for an hour, come back for a couple of hours, boom, done.
Yeah, if you're looking
So,
at like a full day of court, sometimes they have like stuff in the morning. Like you might not even get started until 9, 9:30, sometimes 10. Like a lot of trials start at 10. Like, so you could, so say you start at 10, you get on the record and if you're gonna, I mean, if you start at 10, maybe they won't take that morning break, but I feel like they usually always do. Okay, let's say you start at 9, play it safe. You start at 9, by 10:15, 10:30, you're taking a 15-minute break. So that's pretty quick into your day. You're only on the record for like a little over an hour, and then it's time for like a 15-minute break. And mind you, when you have a break in court, everyone has to leave unless you're an official, I believe, like an official court reporter. But like if you're freelancing, the attorneys, everyone has to leave. If you're not like an employee of the court, you have to leave the departments. Yeah, so there's not even like a moment of like, oh, let me be there in case everyone gets back. Like, no, everyone gets lets back in at the same time. So you're all like on the same page and you can't even get in until the department reopens. And a lot of times, like, everyone's kind of just like taking their time. It's not like this like super strict, like
mhm.
back in unless the judge is really strict about it. That's just been my experience where it's just more like free flowing and we'll get there in a 15-minute a lot of times turns into a 20 to 25-minute break and all of a sudden okay now we're at like 10:45, 11. Okay, when the clock strikes noon we're going on lunch, so again you're on the record for another maybe hour, little over an hour, and then boom you have lunch at noon, and then everyone gets an hour and a half lunch break.
That sounds so lovely
12
because
1:30.
yeah, there are times I'm in arbitrations or depots and they're like 11 o'clock and they're like, let's just go for like another hour and a half. We'll take a half hour lunch break and then come
No,
right back. Because,
no.
depots and arbs, time is like of the essence. Every hour counts. So
Yeah,
to have an hour and a half lunch, I think I'd die. I actually am very envious of that.
it's phenomenal. And the thing is, too, is I forget who I was talking with this about, but I mean, arbitrations, it sounds like it might be different because sometimes they provide the food and stuff, right?
Oh, they always do.
See, that's nice. But like a depot, like I've done just regular depots downtown. And when they're like, okay, so let's do like a 30-minute lunch, and you're in like a high rise building, I'm like, okay, it's going to take me 10 minutes to get out of this building. Then I have
Right,
to go
right.
find something to eat. Like, unless you bring something, but I never would bring food. Like, I'd be like, let me just find something on the street. Let me go to a
Mhm.
restaurant. Let me go to a cafe, something. But like, you need more than 30 minutes. 30 minutes is insane. Unless, again, they're wheeling the cart and you're grabbing something off of it and you don't have to move out of your seat, like
Right.
30 minutes. And in general, I just think 30 minutes for what we're doing, that's way too short of a break. It goes so quickly. You have to like
Mhm.
scarf and barf. Like it's just not, that's not humane. Like it needs to at least be 45 minutes, at least. And even that is still short.
Jack, you're right. And that's why now I ask. I'm like, Counsel, did you bring food? And they're like, no. Okay, well, that needs to be 45 to an hour because we are in downtown. Like you said, we are in this high rise. And especially when we break at noon, everybody and their mothers are breaking at noon. Like everybody in that whole office space and, every floor is breaking at that time. So I'm going to need
Right.
more time to stand in line for one. And there's times, Jack, where I'm like, I'll shoot for 45 minutes. I'll be back when I can. The lines are long. But that
Mhm.
took me forever to get to a point where I was like speaking up for myself as a new reporter. I never did. I was like, okay, 30 minutes, so
I
I'll be
know.
here,
Yep.
you know? And but you're right. That oh man, I would die for an hour and a half. I
Ar
know professionals.
do arbitrations mostly take their lunch at noon, or is it, like, random?
It's random because sometimes they'll be like, you know what, I'm not at a good breaking point. Can we go a little longer? And then they'll be like, ask the reporter. And you don't want to be the one to be like, no, I need to eat. Unless there's times where I'm like, you know what, it's almost 1 o'clock. I need to eat. But no, and sometimes some of the arbitrators will be like, let's do half hour. And I'm like, Madam Arbitrator, you know, Mr. Arbitrator, can we please do 45 minutes? I need at least 45. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. 15 minutes extra is not going to kill them. So no, I've now gotten to a point where I don't do 30 minutes anymore. I now ask for 45 because, but it's like, why do I have to ask for 45? Why do I have to fight for myself? Like, why can't we
Right.
just do an automatic 45?
I know.
You know what?
So
That's what I love in court. It's an hour and a half. You know what I mean? And I would,
it's bomb.
I
So
know the
resuming
officials
that
seem,
court schedule, so say you come back at 1:30 after your lunch. Again, I've never seen it where we're back on the record at 1:30. So we're like
really?
we're waiting until, again, this is my experience. It could be
Mm-hmm.
like different. Every department's definitely different, but
Mm-hmm.
you're waiting outside the department most of the time at 1:30. By 1:33, 1:34, okay, maybe someone opens the door. Okay, now everyone's coming back in, getting settled, everyone's sitting down. Once you're ready, then the judge is going to come out. But by then it's usually like 1:40, 1:45.
That is
So,
true.
and then
That
it's like,
is
okay,
true.
here we go again. Go for an hour. This one could be a little longer, hour and a half, go till about 3:15,
Mm-hmm.
another break, another 15-minute break. Then you come back, and most departments I've been in end at either 4:15 or 4:30. Nothing's ever ended past 4:30 for me. There could be ones where it's like, let's push to 5, or could happen. It's never happened to me. I've always been done by 4:30, which is
Yeah,
just
I
like
think
a dream because that doesn't happen in depots. It's like, nope, doesn't even
no.
matter. It's 5, it's 5:30, now it's 6. Actually, it's 6:30. You know what? It's 7. We're still going, and it's just like, I mean, you just posted the last 2 nights, you yourself clocking out at 8:40 p.m. or whatever.
I
No.
know, I know.
No, 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 no. I need a
I
life.
know. I know. And you know what's crazy is there are Depo reporters that don't go past 5. They're like, no, we're not going past 5. 9 to 5 are the business hours. But I don't have the balls to do that. I don't want to be the one to have them come back and spend more money. So I'm like, fine, I'll just sacrifice my life.
And you do get the after hour pay, which is good.
Yeah, you do get that. You do get paid hourly after that, which is nice. You know, if you have a
Hmm.
nice hourly rate, you do get, that and it does add up. It's nice at the end, but sometimes it's not even worth it. You're like,
Right.
really? An extra so how $200 for, staying and sacrificing. And you don't see your kids, if you have families, so it's hard. Yeah, you're right. And I think let's trail to the next pro for court.
Yeah.
What everyone says when they try to get me to come to court: benefits, 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 benefits. We have benefits. Yes, I am very envious of those benefits, by the way. I'm not making fun of y'all. I'm just saying that's really one of the main reasons a lot of reporters who freelance go to court for the benefits, right?
Totally. I get it. I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
everything's basically done for you, right? You don't really have to
Mm-hmm.
think about your retirement, I mean, you have to
Mm-hmm.
think about it, but your taxes, like everything is just easier to manage, I feel like.
Right.
And that is an absolute huge pro for sure.
Yeah, because they get the pension, the 401k, retirement, they get all of that. And, right now, in being a freelance reporter, I have to pay out of pocket for health insurance because, California mandates that you have health insurance or else you get fined pretty hard on your taxes. And of course, I don't want to get fined. I don't want to pay more than I already pay on come tax season.
Hmm.
Right now, for a family of four, my husband and I pay $1,100 a month in health insurance. It's a joke, but now my husband's going back to work. Oh my gosh, my phone's probably gonna go off. Sorry for the interruption. Okay,
That was my phone. We
it's
have an
okay.
Amber Alert. This
Oh
is a
my
breaking
god,
news.
breaking news.
An
It means,
endangered missing advisory has been activated.
oh my god, that's so scary. The world's gonna end.
Someone is missing, last seen on April
Stop.
24th. I get these all the time living here. It's so
I
crazy.
know, especially because you're downtown Long Beach.
Mhm.
Anyways, so he is going back to work, so luckily I won't have that bill anymore. But yeah, it's expensive. And
That is
then
expensive.
also you have to be very, very good with your money when it comes to freelance. You have to save for your own retirement, you have to save for your own this, you have to figure out what plan works best for you. Whereas in court, it's all kind of just like handed to you, like, here. This is what we
Yeah,
offer. And
I
they're
know.
it's not it's really good. So
Yeah, for sure. That's a big one. My other thing, too, another pro for court is if you're invested in the material you listen to, like for your jobs, which some people are like, oh, I love these. I love hearing these. Some people don't care about the material because you're
mhm.
just focused on taking down words and you're not really listening to what's happening. But if you do care about that and you want to hear interesting things or whatever, I feel like court, you get the complete story. Whereas to
Yes.
depositions, you're getting like a blip of a story
Yes.
and it's just like what is even happening, like I was on like someone's, I just had a hearing for like a, I think it was just a divorce case, but it was like these celebrities, they were like famous people but I didn't know them, and there was just, it just seemed like a regular normal like family law hearing. But then when I found out like stuff about the case and I looked it up, I was like, whoa, there's like so much more there. So I guess hearings too, you don't get the full story, but if you do like a trial and do a full day of stuff of court, you get to see more of like the big picture and the whole story, and it's a little more like satisfying when you get to hear the whole thing versus like in a deposition where you just get this like blip in this moment, and there'll be like one or two questions where you're like, wait, what happened, but then they just move on from it. So I feel like that's a pro if you like are interested in that.
That's true because in arbitrations too, we don't get to hear the end either, you know. And just for people who don't know what arbitrations are basically it's a trial without a jury. So it is a retired judge overseeing the case and they will decide basically who wins, how much money you get. A lot of if you're employed, your employment agreement I want to say 9 times out of 10 is it'll be an arbitration if you sue. A lot of companies, a lot of employers like to go to arbitration because, say, Jack sues a company. Well, a jury might award a lot of money because they feel sympathetic, they're human, they're like, oh my goodness. And not to say judges don't, judges do, arbitrators do, but a lot of companies are of the belief that arbitrators are not going to award as much money as somebody, as a whole jury. So they like arbitrations, which we don't really get to hear the end of any case because the arbitrator takes it under submission. So,
Mm,
so the case is done and they're like, okay, let's do closing briefs, which is their last chance to kind of let the arbitrator know like this is why we should win or this is why they should lose. And we don't hear it. We don't hear any of it. The only time you get to hear if they won or not is if you see the arbitrator again. I recently saw an arbitrator and I was like, oh, I had you on this case. And I'm not allowed to be like, what happened? How did you rule? You're
yeah,
not allowed to say that. But if they tell you, that's different. Like if they willingly did, like this one did. She's like, oh yeah, I ruled this way. I was like, oh God, I needed that closure. But
right.
even depots and arbs, you don't get that closure. And I would love to be part of the drama where it's like the jury, the jury got it wrong or the jury this. I want to be part of that drama so bad sometimes.
So they never put the rulings on the record at arbitrations?
No, no, you never because the arbitrator has 30 days to rule, and a lot of the arbitrations, they're multi-million dollar. There's a lot of money on the line. And so if a jury decides, that's different. But because obviously a jury is not going to take 30 days, but an arbitrator, they take it under submission and they rule usually like not for a while. There's been times where I see them again and I'm like, oh, I had you on this case. And they don't say, like, oh, I ruled like this, which I want them to, but you can't ask. So it sucks.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, you're not going to give me the closure I need. Fine. I'll just go to therapy.
That's funny. Oh my God. That
So
leads me to my next pro. Speaking of arbitrators, but also judges, that's a pro to me that you have a judge in the courtroom to mediate kind of and to monitor and to kind of, a good judge will keep everything, you know,
have your back. They
tame, have your
literally have your
back.
back.
Yeah, 1000%. Versus in a deposition, a lot of times it all depends, but I mean, I feel like there are certain jobs that are like worse than others depending on like the types of attorneys where it's just like unhinged and they don't care and they don't know how to speak on the record. And a lot of times they're younger attorneys that just literally don't even know what's going on with the court reporter. Like they don't understand what it means to like speak clearly on the record. And so sometimes you have to kind of guide them and let them know, please
Mhm.
speak one at a time. Please don't speak so fast. Don't cut one another off. And
Right.
yeah, it's that gets super frustrating to me.
And also, when an attorney yells at you or gets mad at you, you don't have a judge there to back you up, like, hey, this is the court reporter, like, she's doing her best or they're doing their best. You're on your own. And, when I got yelled at that one day by that one attorney, I mean, luckily I kind of fought back on it. But, like, as a young reporter, I used to be like, okay, I'm sorry. And I always tell people attorneys are like sharks, they kind of like bite you And then if you allow them to keep going, they're going to keep nabbing at you. They're going to keep
Mm-hmm.
biting you. So it's hard. You're on your own. You have to learn how to have a backbone. You have to stand your ground with a lot of things. And it does get frustrating. I mean, I'm not saying every depo you're arguing with attorneys. A lot of them do respect us. A lot of them do. They're very, very kind to us. But there are some that are really not. I think a lot of new reporters need to know there are attorneys out there that don't like court reporters. We annoy them. And it's just the way it is, right? It's just the way the cookie
Sorry.
crumbles. I know. So I would love to have kind of like if one tries to get snappy with me and I can have like my shark in the back, the judge, like, like
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
would love to have that.
Guess who I saw in court this week?
Who?
Allegra.
We just had her on. She's so sweet. I loved her
I
so
know.
much. Hopefully
She's
everyone listens to that
amazing.
episode because she really did like provide so much good insight.
Yeah, she was on our last episode. She's an attorney, and all of a sudden she walked out of the, well, first of all, I was standing in the hallway and I was looking at like the notice or whatever was sent to me, and I saw Herman Law, and then I was like, oh, that's Allegra's. And then I scrolled to the top and like there was her name, and I was like, wait, what? And then I look up. As I look up, she's coming off the elevator, and I was like, guess who your court reporter is? And I was on her case. So
Amazing. And she
yeah.
was probably so happy to see you
Yeah,
too.
it was really cool. But it's so crazy how like even when I was doing depots, I would always be on her cases. And then now like even doing court, and this was just with like a different agency and everything. I randomly picked this up, but I happen to like we always end up like by each other, near each other, at each other's things. So it's like
The
meant to
stars
be.
always align.
Yeah, I love her.
The next pro for court, I think we can do maybe a couple more for court.
Mm-hmm.
Is they get their salary and then they get additional transcript money. Which, wait a minute, wait. A lot of Depo reporters are gonna say, well, we get per diems and page rates. So I think on that one, I'm gonna have to disagree when they tell us I get my salary and I get transcript money because I'm like, okay, well, I get a per diem to go in person and I get my page rates kind of the same thing. I don't know. That one, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm going to have to agree to disagree on that one because I don't know. I think we get the same. Ours are just structured a little bit differently, but
Yeah.
Depo reporters, we get a per diem for trials and arbitrations and we get one for in person.
Yeah.
So,
I guess, yeah. And the court per diems are more, they might be a little higher, but I think it's
mhm.
because to protect that, and this is also actually a pro of mine, that sometimes they don't order the transcript.
Right,
So
right.
there's sometimes where that's all you're doing. You're just going to report, and they might order at a later date, but sometimes they're like, no, we don't need it right now. Or they just, most of mine are like, I don't hear anything. And then a couple weeks later, maybe someone will be like, hey, can we get that transcript? And it's like, okay, yeah, sure. But yeah, to me that's a pro because I hate pages. I hate like I would rather just go sit there and stack up per diems. But again, it's two different mindsets. Some people love pages, 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 and some people just want
Mhm.
to stack up the per diems.
See, and that's where I think you and I for sure disagree because
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that court doesn't automatically order because I'm like, I don't want to get a freaking transcript order 5 years down the line where I don't remember what happened. It is so
Yeah.
easy now as a that it's automatic as an automatic order and depositions because I'm
Yeah,
like,
just get it done.
get it done, and once it's done you never see the transcript again. And I feel like when I'm editing the transcript it's easier for me to remember that case because it happened so recently.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in court, if I get a freaking order 10 years later, I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, I don't know, do I even have the transcript? I mean, obviously we have to have it, but I'm just saying, like, you start to question everything. So for me, I don't like that. I'm like, when they're like, oh, not everything orders, I'm like, no, I want everything to order. I don't want to see this ever again. But I know
Right.
you, Jack, you don't like pages. And see,
Hate
I
it.
do like pages. See, this is where Jack and I are completely different. And that's
Different.
what I
I
love
love it.
about reporting. It's you can be different and still be happy.
Totally. I think those are my pros. I'll go through like cons really quick because we took a lot of time on the
I
pros.
know we did. Okay.
But my cons are just that it can be super, super fast. Like the speed can be so fast. And it's mostly a lot of times colloquy, which just means that rarely are you going to be in that mode of Q&A, which is a lot of reporters like that flow. It's just easier once you get into Q&A. It does come up
Yeah.
obviously in trials and whatever, sometimes evidentiary hearings, but for the most part, or a lot of it can just be like wall to wall
Right.
colloquy. There's 28 lines on your pages instead of 25, which is another con of mine.
Oh,
Formatting, it's a little
yes.
different. So you actually end up with less pages because of how many lines are on the page. And it can be like so much more dialogue and so much more. Like you can have like a 10-page transcript and be like, that's nothing. But then when you get into the meat of it, it's so actually long because it's all colloquy, it's wall to wall words. So that is definitely a con for me.
Really
You can end
quickly.
up, oh, yeah, yeah,
Go
go.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. That was one. That was it.
Okay, well, I was gonna say like you can. I feel like this can happen in depots too, but in court you can end up with like 37 speakers. This literally happened to me yesterday, and they wanted it daily. They wanted it that day. There were
30.
there were 37 attorneys. 37. Mind you, this transcript was 6 pages long. So I was like,
What?
I swear to God, 5 pages of the transcript is appearances. One page was the one thing. All they were doing was like trailing the thing, the FSC to like the next whatever. Like that's all they said. So the whole thing, I scoped the whole thing and it's all just these people making their appearance for the record. I was like, you guys, we could have spent our time
What?
way better today. Like,
Oh my
what the
gosh.
hell? Yeah, I was.
That's like two appearance pages. I would have been like, Your Honor, can we just have it noted for the record the appearance page, the appearances? I don't know, but you can't really ask that. But I'm just saying, like,
I wasn't gonna say this, but I might have just put like the appearances of like the main appearances of the people that spoke for plaintiff and defendant, and then the
mhm.
other 35 people, I might have just put them under also present, and because they didn't say anything and nothing, I don't. How many
I
appearance
know.
pages would that have been with each freaking attorney? I'm like,
Oh my gosh. I
I
get
just
it. I get it.
I
Trust
made
me.
sure the client that wanted the transcript, it looked good, and that's
Okay,
all that
that's good.
matters.
Okay, that's true. Okay, the next con for me is the 8 to 5. I cannot do the 8 to 5 Monday to Friday or 8 to 4.
Oh
In the
yeah, if you're
summer,
yeah,
I like
mm-hmm,
to be outside, and I'm not going to be outside in court. How? How? I
mm-hmm.
don't care about the benefits at that point. I care about having a margarita at
I
two
know,
o'clock on a Tuesday. That's what I care about.
true.
So
You can just take a hearing in the morning and be done.
that I know, and I say all this, and then here I am freaking at depots at 9 o'clock at night on a Wednesday.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
be so for real. Okay, sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
another
move
con
on.
is just like the court decorum and like there's more rules to court as far as like handling things and you can yeah. And I feel like the only way to learn this stuff is like by messing up and making mistakes and getting yelled at for it. So
So
just like
true.
where to walk, who to talk to, who not to talk to. And a lot of it's like some people don't care. Like we talked about this in another episode. Some people literally don't care like what happens, but then you'll get a clerk that's super like picky and anal and you're like, okay, I'm sorry. So there can be that too where you can get stuck with not the greatest people, but the flip side of that is you have a coworker sometimes and you can actually really hit it off with the bailiff and the clerk and have a really fun day and you're all laughing and so it goes both
True.
ways with that.
Little family. Okay, so we should we get into a freelance now?
Let's get into freelance depositions, pros and cons. You're
My
taking this away,
favorite.
baby. Go for it, Des.
Oh my
Tell us
gosh.
about those depots.
Freelance for me, and I'm gonna always say the number one pro is freedom. Oh my gosh, you literally have your schedule in the palm of your hands. It is not an employer. You don't have to ask for any time off. You just send an email. You know what? I need tomorrow off. I'm so sorry. I mean, granted, I don't do that really now because if I gave you my availability, you need me, I'll be there, right? But if something comes up, or I'm like, oh my God, I want to go to the beach, or I want to take Michaela somewhere, oh my God, my kids need me, I could just take it off whenever. So I
Yep.
think when I started school, I was like, court, court, court. I'm going to court. I'm not doing depots. Screw it. And then, obviously when I got out, you needed like a bunch of experience to go to court. They weren't swooping you up like they are now. But so when I got to depots, I'm like, because I had no choice. After 6 months, I was like, I don't want to go to court. I love this. Like, I love just doing what I want. I mean, don't you feel that way too, Jack?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's even like going to that conference the other week and like Monday I'm going to see Beyonce and when my friends and I go to Beyonce, we always make it like a holiday. It's like an event. Like we spend the whole day together getting ready, prepping, pre-gaming. We get there early, like, and if I was working in court, like, yeah, I could have like asked for that day off or like, but it's just so easy to be like, hey, no, I can't work Monday. And actually I can't work Tuesday either because I'm not gonna want to like wake up and go to work after seeing Beyonce. So okay, I guess I'll work Wednesday. But like it's just so easy and nice to be able to control how much and when you work. It's the best.
Exactly. And I think that for me, I like to have that control in my power. I don't want somebody else to have it. I don't know. It's kind of like the same thing with I'm in control at the depots. Granted, there's depots that just go out of control and you have no power. But that leads me to my next point. I feel like I'm in charge of the depot. Like it's gonna go how I say, right? Like what I
Right.
need. And when there's times where they're like the court reporter is the most important person in the room, whatever she says goes. I think one time an attorney was like, "She's the boss, but we do whatever Desiree says," and I was like, "Thank you. See, I love that." You know, in court,
Yes.
obviously the judge is the boss, not you. So, which is fine, but I don't know. For me, I like being in control of everything, and maybe it's just something that it's for me personally. And I know a lot of people are like, "See, I don't like that. I want to be like a fly on the wall. I don't want
Hmm.
any attention on me." But for me, I like having control of all of that.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people get into the profession thinking that, like, oh, I just get to sit there and listen to all the drama. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes you have to be the drama a little bit and shove yourself in there and be like, hey, 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 and take control. So,
And
it's
which
fun.
leads me to the next pro, which is I think that our income, the sky is the limit. I don't know about, I'm sure for you, Jack, every year
Hmm.
my income goes up.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
I love that. I know in court too they have, they get transcript orders and stuff, but sometimes when I ask like how much do you guys make extra in transcripts, it doesn't equate to what I make as a freelance reporter.
Hmm.
It doesn't. And it's not to say like, oh my gosh, they're not working as hard. There are reporters that don't want to work a lot. They want a little extra money or a lot, whatever, and to be on their way. They want to just do what they do. And me, I'm like, no, I want all the money. I want all of it. So that's why I work so much. But what about you, Jack? How's your income been?
Same thing. Yeah, I feel like every year it's like grown and grown and grown. Last year I had my best year. This year I'm already on track to do like maybe almost double what I did last year. Like it's
Shut up.
yeah, it's crazy. I was like calculating like how much I made already this year and I'm like this is crazy. Like and
Mm.
I feel like it took a while to get there though, right? Like I'm in my fifth
Mm.
year reporting. And again, I always say, like, I feel like I'm just finding my stride, like my footing in this career. I was very like up and down about it when I first started. I didn't know, it's hard, like, like jumping into it, into depots, into anything you do, honestly, it's freaking hard because you
Yeah.
come from school and in your mind, school is the hardest thing you've ever done. You worked your ass off and it was hard. In that moment, at that time, it was the hardest thing you're doing, passing those tests. It's super stressful. It's all you're focused on. You've developed some anxiety disorder that you never had before, and it's not fun. None of it's fun. And then you get your license and you celebrate and you're so excited and you take your first job, and then you have a big wake up call where it's like, wait, what? And I mean, I think my first depot was like over 100 pages, 120 pages. So I went from like my
Whoa.
CSR being 13 pages to having my first depot being over 100 pages, which today now that sounds like it's like, well, yeah, I hope like if I'm going to take a depot, it better be at least 100 pages. My God. But it's such a crazy learning curve. And then you spend so much time when you start scoping your work, you spend so much time on those 100 pages. The last thing you're thinking about is like taking another depot on top of that. Like it's such a learning process to like actually get over that hurdle of making serious money. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
It's
yes. And
so
I
hard to
love that
get
you
there.
said that. I love that you said that because a lot of students are under the impression that they're just going to get out there and make all this money. It's a huge hurdle you have to get over. And guys, I need you to know that freelancing, it is a hustle. It is a hustle. And
Hmm.
there are that's which leads me to a con. Freelance has a lot of, not a lot, it hasn't lately, but there are slow periods where it's slow, there's not a lot of work, so you have to also save for those times where
Hmm.
you're like, one week you're busy, the next you're not. That happened to me this week. Last week I was slammed, this week I'm a little slower, and it's fine because I'm like, okay, I did so well last week. And I think a lot of people are like, there's a shortage, there's a shortage, there's a shortage. And I have my opinions on that. Maybe one day we'll get into that, Jack. But you have to work your way to the top. You really do. It's the same with freelancing. That's why I don't want to go to court, because I'm like, I don't want seniority. I don't want to be seniority, right? I'm already kind of at the top of seniority, whatever seniority freelancing is now. I don't want to have to work my way back up there. And I think that hurdle that you have to get over is at the 5th year mark. And once you get
Yeah.
over that hurdle, everything kind of just, all of the doors open up, because you're like now going to get into a different area of reporting where you're like taking bigger jobs. You're going to start to like really expand what you're doing other than what you're doing now. So, but yeah, I'm really glad you brought up that hurdle because nobody really talks about that 5-year mark.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah, and it's not that like you're gonna make like the
Right.
most money you've probably ever made still, and but it's just gonna feel hard, I think. Like for me, it was just hard. I'm like, this is hard work. Like I'm taking depots and I'm working my butt off on the back end, editing and scoping and the whole thing. So, but it's just all that to say, like, stick with it.
Hmm.
If you choose that freelancing is the route you want to go, you stick with it. It's a learning experience, and I think it makes you an amazing reporter, over time.
Right, right. I agree with that. And also, too, you're never going to stop learning. I still am learning now in freelancing. There's always something that comes up in freelancing where you're constantly like, what do I do? What do I do? Oh my God, I never had a situation happen before. Even me, I'm 10, 11 years in, Jack, you too, 5 years in.
Mm.
People think after a year you're like a pro and you're like, okay, got this down. You might feel like, I've got this down. I've gone through all the obstacles, anything that's kind of come my way. But you're constantly always going to be learning, and perfecting your skill. And I don't want to put bad, I have to be careful what I say now, really, honestly, Jack. But just know, guys, freelancing, it is kind of a competition out there. I'll be completely real on that. A lot of us reporters, not fight, but there's times where we're like, why did she get that job? Why didn't I get that job? Why didn't I wanted that job? Who made her get that job? We're just like that. We're catty like that. And it's a whole different world in freelance. I think nobody really talks about.
Ooh.
I know. One day we're gonna have to get into that because yeah, I just got into that world and now I'm like, oh my God, why are reporters like that? But then I'm becoming like that. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, it makes sense for like the bigger, like really big stuff, that people are kind of like a little more that way. I could
I
see
didn't
that.
mean to go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, it's okay. I'll bring you right back up, Alice in Wonderland. Does she go down a
Okay.
rabbit hole? I've actually never seen that movie.
I don't know. That's really you're a Disney fanatic, isn't that Disney?
I am not a Disney fanatic. I just happen to work there.
But you know, like all of the
No, I
songs.
don't. I don't. That's the craziest thing. People think the first
You
time I
just did
went to
Jasmine.
I didn't do Jasmine. I did Aladdin, you
Oh,
queen. What the fuck? No, but that's
okay.
funny though. When I would perform as Aladdin in the park, people would come up to me and say that, like little kids be like, "Mommy, it's Jasmine." Like if I was just by myself, because all they cared about was Jasmine. Which I mean, say
Really?
less. She's a queen, but
Queen. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But
So do
no,
you have any other?
Oh, do I have any other cons? Or what are we doing? Cons
I
or
don't know. We're everywhere right now.
I'm like, where
We're
did we
trying to get back
start?
into the swing.
What else about depots? I mean, back to we kind of touched on it, but just see how the all day thing. I
Not
can't
knowing
do.
what time you're going to get off work.
Yes,
You
that.
can ask, they can have an estimate. You can ask. A lot of reporters do ask. They'll get there and they'll be like, what time do you think we'll be done? And they're like, oh, yeah, 4 hours max. But then a witness freaking rambles forever.
Yeah, I
An
never believe
attorney's like,
them.
oh, I didn't know he knew all this information. So I got to get into it now. So now you're like 8 hours in, 7 hours in. You don't ever know. And it's so hard to plan when people are like, what time will you be off work? And you're like, I don't know. My parents, to this day, my mom, passed away, but every single day, even Troy, what time do you get off work? I don't know what time I get off work. They're like, we're trying to make plans. Okay, well, then make them. I don't know, make them. And if I show up, I show up. If I don't, I don't. Like, that's one of the most frustrating things too, is being asked, what time are you be off? And you have no clue. You're like, I don't know. In court, obviously you could say 4:30, I'll be home at this time.
You're gonna hate me right now, but I definitely have when it was probably like 6 p.m. at night, and the other attorney was like, "Counsel, like, how much more do you think you have?" And he'd be like, "Oh, let me look. A minimum of 3 hours, max maybe four." And I literally,
Minimum.
yes, for at 6 p.m. So like, okay, we're ending at 9 or 10. So I literally said, I was like, "Oh, excuse me, this is the reporter. I'm not going to be able to go another hour or past another hour. I can go one more hour, but." I have to eat and sleep. But I didn't say that. But I was like, unfortunately, I can't go. I can try to find another reporter to cover for you. I think it's going to be hard at 8 o'clock at night, but I will not be going. To me, that's just absolute abuse. I hate it. I think that's absolutely insane.
No, you're right. It is, because I always tell attorneys court reporter fatigue is real. And I haven't had dinner. That kind of keeps you going. And, like I try to be like, there have been times, Jack, where you're going to think I'm crazy. I would go pick up my little one at daycare at 5 o'clock and then come back. I'd be like, okay, I got to go pick her up. If you guys want to go past 5, I'll pick her up. She'll come. I'll come home and we'll continue. And we've continued. I don't know why I did that. I
You
know.
actually
I
did
know.
that and came back?
I've done it like 4 times. Yeah. And then I'm like, "Okay." And then I'll have her like in the room with me and she'll just be on her tablet and we'll continue. Because they don't attorneys can be like, "Okay, I have an hour max." And then an hour passes and you're like, "What is going on?"
No.
And that's one of the biggest things for me.
I hate when they're just saying the same thing over and over too, trying to get a different answer. I'm like, can you please ask something different and just move on? My God, you're not going to get the answer you want.
Oh my God, I love when the attorneys object and they're like, you don't like the answer. That's why you keep asking the same question over and over. And then it starts a whole argument and then
Mm,
you're down colicky, you know.
yep.
And yes, I say colicky because
Colicky.
that's what it is. So
Do you have
yeah,
anything else?
I, I think those are it. That's
Those,
really,
those
yeah,
are the
that's like the
main
top ones.
ones.
Yeah. And I
Those are
think
the main ones.
also you have the ability to make your own rate sheet. You know, like you have the ability to however much you want to charge for something you can, but please take that with a grain of salt if you're listening, because you don't want to outprice yourself either in the market. Agencies, you don't want to be that reporter that agencies only use you on an emergency basis. I want to really emphasize on this. Your reputation matters. Our relationships really do matter. It took me forever to get to where I'm at now, but that also took me, I'd take bad jobs sometimes. There's times where I have to take jobs nobody wants. You have to sacrifice. It's a team effort here. Do
Hmm.
you think that way, Jack, too?
Yes, I do. And it sucks sometimes, but especially when I was starting out, my first one, two, three, for sure, like 3 years, I said yes to everything. I drove to bum F nowhere to take some random crap job that no one else would take and did not get a per diem for it. I never once had a per diem on my
What?
I never had a per diem on my sheet or on my rate sheet when I did depots until I think maybe last year when I was doing depots last year. I just added one. It was super little. I felt super guilty charging for that.
Wait, are you lying?
No, I'm not lying.
Which I want to also talk about one day. Yes, we need to discuss per diems because I just want to put this out there. Reporters are not charging $1,200 to go to Los Angeles or to go to show up in depots. That was said recently, and I really want you guys to know we're not out here to no. And that's the thing, is that a
Court,
lot of
yes, but
people think that we're just out here, you know, charging and, you know, doing all these crazy things. We're not. My per diem is nowhere near that. And so
no.
my per diem is really just travel and me going like in the fast track to get there to work early, all of that gas.
Mm,
You know, in LA, gas is almost $5 a tank. I mean, a gallon. So I need people to know, like, yes, we bill per diems, but they're not anything close to
no.
$1,200
No.
or eight. I think it was said $800, which I was like, when I heard that, I was like, absolutely. I wanted to so badly, like, absolutely not. Please don't do that. But
I think I added a per diem on my rate sheet last year, like when I was still doing depots, because someone I started to do a lot more in person, and someone was telling me like, no, you have to put something. But I think I had like under 30 miles and over 30 miles as two different ones, but I don't think it was a lot. I want to say it's like $150, $250. Like it wasn't like anything crazy. It was just to like get there and whatever. But yeah, I heard horror stories of people charging that like $600 appearance fees. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like you can't do that.
no, when we do that, we're ruining our profession. Yeah, there's been some rate sheets I've seen where I'm like, what? I
I just
mean,
had an entire hearing. This has been happening a lot where the whole
mhm.
hearing is them arguing about court reporter costs and who's paying for it and how they're splitting it. And the judge was like, I know court reporting fees are astronomical and this is no one wants to pay this. And yeah, the sides like couldn't believe because apparently they ordered like dailies, real time, all these things after this like 2 week trial, and the bill was 50 something thousand dollars, like $55,000, and they couldn't believe it.
But also, if you're getting dailies in real time, that's a lot of work.
I
I
know,
feel like
yeah,
attorneys also think that we're just charging these rates just because we want to. No, real time and dailies, you're literally dead at the end.
yeah,
So,
insane.
but yeah, it is embarrassing when they're bringing up our, you know, like you have a hearing on that. Even though it's not your
Hmm.
bill, you still get secondhand embarrassment. You're like, oh my God. And you know, one thing that resonated with me recently, Jack, that an arbitrator said, and it really broke my heart when she said it. She's like, it's really hard to find a good court reporter now. And I'm like, oh, stop. She's like, yeah, really is.
I know.
I was
Well,
like,
at first I
okay.
heard the 50,000 number thing and was like shocked, but then I went back and I was like, well, if you're ordering roughs, dailies,
Yeah.
real time, everything's over 300 pages like every day. I'm like, yeah, that is like a pretty standard bill. I just think
Yeah.
they didn't realize what they were ordering and what they were getting themselves into. But my point in it all being is that our rates and everything surrounding that are being discussed at actual hearings. Like I'm sitting there taking the record down of them talking about court reporters and like, can we use this next time? What is there an alternative? Like people are not
I
liking us all
know.
the time and we need to like be
Yeah.
more aware of that, I think. I'm all
And
like, yes, get like ask for what your worth is, but don't be greedy. My God.
yeah, exactly. And please be careful following advice from reporters on Facebook. Please, I'm not attacking anyone. I'm not speaking about anyone in particular, but I did have a new reporter that's like, I don't get any work. I don't get nothing. And the first thing I said was, what are your rates? She sent me her rates. And I'm like, where did you get these rates? And she's like, on Facebook. And I'm like, from who? Veteran reporters or seasoned reporters? Yeah, they're billing these because they have experience. You don't have that yet. If an agency sees a 15-year reporter and a 1-year reporter billing the same, who are they going to go with? Be real. Who are they going to go
Right.
with? Right. So be very, very mindful of what you charge. And like I always say, just because you can bill it doesn't mean you can. So be very, very careful. And you guys, the market changes every year. It is changing now as we speak. I'm not saying that to scare anyone. Please, please, please take it for what it is. But the market changes a lot. Just like it's up right now, it can come right back down. So just be very, very mindful of that.
Amen to that, sister. Well, with that, I think we need to transition into our case of the week. What are we touching on today?
Oh, okay. So recently, since I work in LA a lot, I passed by the Cecil Hotel and then I went on a like freaking binge on that. Okay, so there's been so many things, but I want to talk about the woman that passed away there. Her name was Elisa Lam. She was a Canadian student and her body was found in a rooftop water tank after she was last seen behaving erratically in a hotel elevator, which there is footage on that. I did
Yeah.
see it. I was like, she was acting a little cray cray. And she obviously she drowned in the water tank, and it's nobody. How long did it take for anyone to find her? Do you know? I didn't even read on that.
I want to say it was like, I feel like it was like 2 weeks, but I don't
Oh
know. It
my
could be.
god, she was in there.
It could have been a week. I don't know, but it was definitely like days had gone by. But there was this interview of this Australian couple. I think it's on the Netflix documentary about this. And they were like, yeah, we were pouring ourselves a glass of water from the sink and we just noticed this like orangey, dark brown color in the water. And we are like, this is weird. And come to find out, it was from her body decaying in the water tank. And the
Ew.
water, yeah, made it down to their faucet and they almost drank it. No, this
My
whole
god, I'm not
case
gonna barf on that. What the fuck?
this I don't mean to laugh, but this whole case is literally insane.
Insane.
And every time, same, when I'm in LA, I try to like find a route that goes right by it, but it's in like such a like interesting area. It's like this crazy, dark, mysterious, weird energy where
Yes.
that hotel sits.
Yes. The
And every
energy
time
is
I
so
go by,
off.
I think it was after a depot one time, and the sun had gone down. It was like dark out, and I was like, I'm just gonna drive by the Cecil Hotel and see like what it's like at night. And so I did it, and I'm driving down the street, and all of a sudden I just see all these people out front of the hotel, and they were like pushing each other, shoving each other. And all of a sudden, I see this guy lift up one of those like tin trash cans, like an old school like trash can, throws it on top of another guy and shoves him down. And he goes like barreling down the sidewalk. I was like, what is happening? Like, this area is so crazy. So I'm just trying to imagine that girl, Lisa Lamb, is that her name? Elisa?
Elisa Lam, you got it. You got it.
Where she's like in that world. Like she came here to visit LA and like see it for the first time. And she's like in that energy with these crazies outside. Like, I mean, crap, I probably would have gone into a freaking frenzy too. Like, I don't know. These people were just like crazy, that whole area.
You
And
know,
so, yeah, there was all these conspiracies about what happened to
yeah.
her and how, everyone thought she was taken or was murdered but I think they ultimately believe that she had some kind of manic episode or some kind of mental disorder. And I don't know if disorder is the right word. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right, but
Yeah. You're
something
fine. You're fine.
something was wrong and it led her to go up to the water tank. And I don't know if she thought it was like a swimming pool or what she thought, or she thought she could just jump in and jump back out. But ultimately, they think she got herself stuck in there and she couldn't get out because it's too like deep in to get back up to the door. And she ended up drowning
That's
in
so
the water tank.
sad.
Yeah.
One thing I always tell people who are like, I want to go to downtown, I'm like, you have to have a completely different persona when you go to downtown Los
Mm-mm.
Angeles. I don't talk to anyone. I don't,
No.
when I'm walking, I look up and down because I don't know if I'm a step in shit and I need to
Yep.
be able to see who the hell is coming my way.
Me too.
I don't make eye contact. If there's some like if there's something going on, there's drama, I'll watch for like a second as I'm still walking and then keep it moving. There's no way you're going to get me to stop there because and I'm walking fast too. And also, never ever look lost. The minute you look lost is the minute people take advantage of you out there. And I feel bad for her because it seemed like she really wanted to visit LA and ended up, passing away
Right.
unfortunately. And that's so sad because I know her family was really heartbroken for, obvious reasons. But I was gonna say when you watch I don't know if you ever saw the video of her in that elevator,
Yes.
it does kind of look like
She's talking
someone,
to someone.
yeah, yeah, and like someone not takes her, but like guides her out of the, I don't know.
I
I
know.
just learned a new term recently called internet sleuths. I don't know if that, I guess they're like people that like really, really invest themselves. I know
Okay.
they invest themselves into like stories, and they did like a whole coverage, and they really do believe she was taken or somebody was out there that
That's
guided her in there.
crazy.
Yeah, and put her in there. But I'm like, I don't know. Thank goodness for that footage. Because can you imagine the conspiracy theories
No, I know.
if they didn't have that footage?
They're insane.
Which
No,
one
it's
next week I want to talk about Janika something, the girl that was died at that hotel.
oh yes, and we have to talk about the girl that was on TikTok that everyone talked about that was missing for so long, and then her dad committed suicide and jumped off the parking garage in LA.
Wait, what? I never heard of this. Who?
Yes, you did. Hannah something?
Hannah something? No, the only Hannah I know on TikTok is that mom that
No,
everybody
she's
calls
not.
CPS on.
She's not on TikTok, but like the whole story went like super viral on TikTok. Okay, I'm gonna find it. We'll talk about that next time. But it is crazy,
Okay,
crazy,
that's
crazy, crazy.
next week. We're gonna have to cover that because what the heck? Okay, okay.
Well, I
But
think
yeah,
we should transition now into our brief of the week. And we already kind of talked about it off camera, but we need to talk about it on camera because we need to figure this out. Statutory. It comes up way too much.
yes. And
Way
Jack
too
and I do
much.
not have a brief for it. We just found this out.
Right now, I do 2 strokes for that, but we need to do this in 1 stroke. So, what
You
can we
do
do?
too?
Well, what do you do?
I do stat tor re 3 strokes. It's so fucking.
I think my like Ori ending is YAOR. So I was just doing stat and then YAOR. That's my
Oh my
Ori
god,
ending.
I love that's your ending for Ori.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's easy. You can just like squeeze all that in.
I love that. Oh my god, our theories are completely different. Like
Uh,
I know I have a best friend that does not brief or phrase anything. She writes everything out. I'm like, what?
that
But
was
okay,
me one time.
I'm thinking that it could be stat flagged. You know me, I love that asterisk so
We have
much.
no, we need like at least an R in there. What about if we do like
R
STAORT?
STAOR. That one's good. That one's a
Start.
good one. Start. Yeah.
Start. Yes.
That one's a really good one. Okay, okay. I'll try that one tomorrow if it comes up. I'm gonna ask the attorneys if they can say statutory so I can use my new brief.
Or what if you just did STAOR?
That's my brief. That's my stroke for store. No, no, it's not. I
Store
don't
should
have
just
it.
be STOR.
Oh, mine's STOER store.
Oh,
No,
with a
just
long O.
OE. Just yeah, the long O. That's
Wait,
mine.
store. Yeah, probably me too. But I feel like we could make smarter use of those strokes.
I like STOR. I really do. I like that. I'm gonna either do stat.
STAOR
Oh,
for
okay. I'm gonna try
statutory
that.
because you need the A. Like think A stout. Yeah, so it's STAOR.
STAORT. Perfect.
ORT. Yeah, we can
I
probably add
like
the
that.
T, but if not, you can just do STAOR. But I'll probably add the T. Define both of them.
I like
Absolutely. Hmm. What do you do for that? Quiffle. Quiffle. KWIFL is equivalent. Equivalence. Quiffles. KWIFLS.
See, I hate doing the LS. I'm not doing my briefs with LS.
I know I don't like that either.
I hate it. It's like it reminds me like just of a spaghetti where it's just like wiggling.
Well, thank you so much to all of you for coming back and listening to the Steno Pod. We've been having so much fun and we're glad to be back in the swing of things. Thank you all for listening and we wish you an amazing weekend and another awesome week. And we will see you back here, same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you so much, everyone, and we really, really appreciate all of the feedback we've been getting, and all of you guys that have listened to us. And yeah, thank you again. And can you believe we're literally almost done with season 1?
Almost done,
I
almost
know,
there.
makes me sad.
I love
And
it.
also, if you guys have any suggestions who our next guest should be, let me know. I kind of have one in mind, so we'll drop some hints next week on that.
Yes, DM us, comment, do all the things. We will be there reading and responding.
Have a good day. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend.